Good morning. This is the Bitcoin Morning Brief. It is May 1st. We have Tone, Jimmy, and also Giacomo again today. Giacomo, how are you doing?
Fine. Challenging weeks, but I'm very happy and glad to be back.
Great. Jimmy?
I'm good. I'm sitting down today, so the view from my webcam is just slightly off. The parallax is maybe, towards the corners over there. But yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
That's good. And how's everything going, Tone?
Oh, great. It was good to be back home for like a full day. So, but today's where work begins, so it'll be good.
All right. Well, let's start this. But this is fun, not work, hopefully. All right. Coinbase competitor Circle adds Zcash to crypto investment app. So Circle Invest actually is a startup, just clarifying that Goldman Sachs invested in and owns a stake, obviously, in Circle. But there's also a lot of powerful VCs that did invest in Circle. And then Circle Invest, obviously, is a subsidiary of Circle. So Goldman's still Goldman. And with all their credibility and their research and analysis, it brings in demand, But if you look in this story, you can buy it for $1, no fees attached, spreads are 1%. So I do think there's a lot to this story. What Circle is saying and what others are saying opposite to that, which we'll take into the next story as well. This indicates to me more confusion in the space. Smart people are coming to opposite conclusions on the same topics as other regulators and other companies as well as powerful, influential people. Giacomo, what are the attributes of Zcash that you believe someone like Goldman would conclude is strong enough that this should be added?
So I think that, as you say, there is still a lot of, well, first of all, I have to do a disclosure. I have a strong conflict of interest here because I'm wearing right now a Zcash shirt. This is because the baby pukes. No, this is unfair. I asked for this shirt to the Zcash guys in the CCC conference. They were very kind to give it to me. So I think that they are very confused. Altcoins in general and altcoins which are very, very centralized, managed by a single company like Zcash, based on untested cryptography and unsecure trusted setup. These cannot be investments. The only way a cryptocurrency can be an investment for some period of time is in case it becomes money, and so the transformation of this commodity into money increases the value. So that's why Bitcoin could be a very risky but interesting investment. All this stuff cannot be. So what this tells me is just that, companies like Circle are just pivoting again and again because their business model was stupid since the beginning. So they started as a Bitcoin remittance app. To a Bitcoin-less blockchain payment app, which was meaningless, and now they are pivoting to an investment app, and they are also adding scam coins because that's what the market asks for right now. I think Goldman analysts are still very, very far from, are still very deep into informational asymmetry about cryptocurrencies, like basically everything else, everyone else.
Right. Jimmy, just following up on that, right? Just as a background, so the only 5 other supported cryptos on this is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bcash, and Ethereum Classic. Why do you think they added Zcash?
Maybe they have a bunch of people that invested in Zcash. Zcash actually raised quite a bit of money before they got started, and they gave Zuko and his guys a bunch of money before, and they worked on it for a while, and then they launched. And part of the deal was that the investors would sort of get the pre-mined coins. And Zcash checks a lot of the boxes as far as alts and sort of the way they fund devs is not something that I really agree with. A developer tax is exactly that. It's a tax on everybody on each mined block, more or less. I have libertarian sensibilities. I think you should make that voluntary, which is what Bitcoin tries to do, instead of forcing everyone to pay the developers whether they do work or not. That said, I think ZK Snarks is interesting technology, and there are probably applications. I'm not so sure that this is exactly it. You watch like the Zcash blockchain, and what you end up seeing is that most transactions are in the clear. They're exactly like Bitcoin, and not utilizing the zero knowledge parts of it. Yeah, it's interesting. As a tech, I'm not sure it's that great a currency at the moment, because of all the different security assumptions you have to make it work and things like that.
That makes sense. I agree with you on the VC backing. We don't know the deal structures. And we very well have been following about how much VCs are potentially covering their asses when what's going on with Perkins Coie, and everybody getting involved and going to Clayton and the other regulators. Tone, because
Yes.
this is going to be contentious. So they talk about Grayscale here, your favorite. But Grayscale is predicting, everybody will be happy about this, that the cryptos could moon to over 60K by 2025, though it's a bit far off that we'd like, saying that they believe that Zcash has the potential to become a global offshore investment opportunity. You want to make a note on Grayscale's motives and what's up, what you think here?
Well, yeah, I mean, Grayscale and their parent companies were investors in Zcash, and they benefit directly from the mining of Zcash. They get to keep a percentage. I guarantee you all of this will stop in, unfortunately, 3 more years when the mining subsidy has run out. I mean, it's great when you're able to print your own money. You are incentivized to pump the money that you print. I'm sorry, Zcash cannot be any kind of anonymous offshore crypto or whatever the hell they're calling it, because it is centralized. And it's completely ridiculous. So you always have to question the motivations of people. And we'll get to some of the more, you know what, like Zcash doesn't even bother me as much anymore, considering some of the more ridiculousness we're going to get to in this show alone. So I'll just end it there.
All right, well, moving on. Although similar. So Japan's financial regulators pushing crypto exchanges to drop altcoins favored by criminals. So directly opposite. So regulators are making definitive statements about what's good and not good. They're drawing the line on a practical basis, saying that specifically Japan is saying that these altcoins, it's easier for criminals to use and move them around. And they have some sort of proof that this is happening for illegal transfers, and they want to stop it. So this is what regulators are doing. In my eyes, this is going to be great for Bitcoin and make it more difficult for the alts. Giacomo, I'll turn it back to you again.
A lot of things to say about this. So first of all, the regulators again have no idea what they are talking about. As Jimmy said, Zcash is not great for anonymity because anonymous transactions on Zcash are very, very expensive and nobody's using them. So the anonymity set of the ones who are using those is very, very small. So basically, there are theories that you are more easy to de-anonymize on Zcash than on Bitcoin because of the very small anonymity set. That's Dash is, I mean, it's Dash. So they don't really know what they are talking about. Monero, on the other hand, is a real world anonymity experiment. So it could be used for criminal deals like cash, like bank wire transfers, like basically everything. What I think is interesting is that, as I was saying before, while Bitcoin itself could survive being from a legal ban because it was built in a way that is resilient to legal bans, other cryptocurrencies, especially the centralized ones like Zcash, built around a US-based for-profit legal entity, they could never stand a global trend like this. So if banning cryptocurrencies or anonymous cryptocurrencies, which is also very misleading because it's not that what is important is not necessarily only the structure of the cryptocurrency itself, but the whole ecosystem coin, which is pseudo-anonymous as a blockchain. If you put CoinJoin, Join Market, Lightning Network, Script, Schnorr, some side chain, disposable hardware and you put everything like this on top of Bitcoin, Bitcoin gets pretty fungible and pretty privacy preserving, even if the underlying blockchain is trackable. In the same way, a technology like Zcash, if you don't use the zero knowledge proof, is pretty easy to trace. So I would prefer that they didn't try to regulate what they don't understand. But still, the final outcome is always the same. Bitcoin is decentralized, so it really doesn't care. The Honey Badger really doesn't care. While these pet projects centralized in legal entities, they should be very, very cautious about legal initiatives like this because they depend on being not shut down.
Right, I couldn't agree more that regulators are confused about what to do, and I'll push that to Tone. I again see this as a tension between regulators and corporations on the other side, similar to our previous story, Goldman Sachs. And for every regulator, there are 1,000 corporations in countries like Venezuela that we're about to get to, who are 1 or 2 steps ahead of them by creating new things. Will this push regulators, you think, to stop diddy bopping around, dragging their feet and just saying they're looking into it and maybe make more definitive statements?
Maybe, but like in this specific case, I mean, clearly those regulators are hearing stuff and they're not actually looking at the numbers. I mean, Bitcoin is used for way more, activity that they don't approve of than Zcash, Monero, and all the other Anon coins combined. Like, it's just like, this makes no sense, right, at all. If you, it doesn't make sense to me, right? Like, sure, they can make it, unless they're making it kind of look good for themselves. It's like, well, we're okay with the Bitcoin, but we're not okay with the more anonymous coins, even though they're not actually used for anything. The question is, if other governments follow suit, what happens to all of those Anon coins if none of the exchanges are allowing you to trade them, right? What kind of momentum would they have? Would they still be able to pump and dump? Would they still be as useful as they are today? And again, this is where Bitcoin is different, because Bitcoin is the most decentralized and it is the most popular, and Bitcoin would still be globally known as it is today without any exchanges. Like, people would still find a way to go and get Bitcoin, peer-to-peer, like they used to in the early days. People would still get it even without these exchanges. The thing is, if you have Bitcoin on exchanges and none of the exchanges are legally able to give you Monero, it's pretty clear that people don't care about anonymity, right? People don't care about their privacy. This is why 90+% of all trading goes on KYC'd exchanges. So if more governments take this stand and not allow you to trade your Anon coins on these exchanges that are KYC'd, and 90% of all trading goes out on KYC'd exchanges, what use are these Anon coins, right? Again, the future of Anon is going to be a second layer solution for anonymity on top of Bitcoin. I've always said it, and I'm going to continue to say it.
Leah, may I step in just for a second before Jimmy? One thing I forgot to say is that I agree with Tone. One possible counter argument to what we are saying is that, fiat versus crypto is a difficult thing to create and an easy thing to censor. While crypto over crypto with things like atomic swaps, in theory, in future, could become very, very difficult to stop. So if Bitcoin gets accepted in the main financial exchanges, then probably fiat versus Bitcoin is going to be a clear path, maybe a regulated path, but still clear. And then Bitcoin to altcoin could be very, very, very difficult to stop. That said, I agree that probably altcoin Fed will just die for other problems. But there is the crypto versus crypto decentralized exchange or trustless exchange thing that I didn't consider before, that could be an interesting twist in our discussion.
Yeah, can I just jump back in here as well? But what's the point? What's the point of these atomic swaps? Like, who cares about these old coins, right? Like this is amazing to me, like the hypocrisy in the space. Every single libertarian went on and on and on for 10 years plus that the financial sector is too big for the world economy. They do nothing. All they do is move fictional money around and all these derivatives, and they are totally useless. They don't provide any, like, they don't improve, the world in any way. All these guys are doing is making money by pushing around, imaginary money. So what the hell is all of this crypto trading, right? It's like the other day, I saw people cheering how Binance is supposed to make $200 million this year, and Deutsche Bank is only going to make like $150 million this year, right? So Binance is going to make more money than Deutsche Bank, and the crypto community is cheering this. Please tell me what efficiency to the world is Binance creating more than Deutsche Bank? Because for 20 years, all I heard was the financial sector is just leechers.
Jimmy, response, especially since Tone just evoked libertarian.
Yeah, I mean, he's right in the sense that, where these exchanges aren't adding that much. If you did have atomic swaps, all that value, the 200 million that Binance is making, could go towards, people or, services that, aren't. I mean, maybe you could give them some amount of money for making an order book, but for the most part, you can give that value back to a lot of users. So having atomic swaps and, Lightning based or not, will help in that regard, right? Like it'll make for decentralized exchanges and things of that nature. That said, I think there's a very good point there. A lot of these coins aren't really useful. They're really more speculation vehicles. They don't add any technology. They don't really have very good development teams, if at all. So I don't know. That said, this story, let me get back to the actual story here. It does offend my libertarian sensibilities that, a government thinks that they have the right to go and, choke all of these things out. But this is what happens with centralized exchanges, is that you have a choke point, therefore, government's going to go and regulate it. And that's what they're attempting to do. This is why I think decentralizing is the way to go. And it will come eventually, because, when you have AML, KYC, all these burdensome regulations, at some point, those costs are going to be high enough where people aren't going to want to pay them. And it'll be just better and cheaper just to get around them. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna speculate on exactly why. I think it's pretty clear Japan thinks that a lot of illegal stuff is going on with these coins, despite the fact that all evidence points to this stuff being cash being the main driver of illegal activity, or main currency of illegal activity, and has for years and years and years. So I don't know. It's kind of a predictable story from governments that want to control these things.
Yeah, and let's not turn Japan into the pinnacle of freedom. They'll throw you in jail for life if they find marijuana in the mail going to your house, right? So it's let's hold our horses there a little bit.
All right, well, let's move to another country, India, with more stricter regulations. But India is a different story. India to get 30% discount on Venezuelan crude oil if paid for in Petro. So simply put, Venezuela is pitching for Petro in different countries, including India here. Entered a pact with CoinSecure to sell Petro in India. And the Business Standard notes that Petro has reportedly raised more than $3.8 billion, with more than 127 countries participating in the pre-sale. I will say I do not believe this at all. That's my stance. So the story here is, what Venezuelans trying to do, and they're saying, let's see if anyone will say yes to it. Hard to say no, because 30% is a massive number. But I don't think India will, because of how hard the United States will come down. Although I do think it's a great tactic by Venezuela. and it may work in other countries. And again, just to say, I guess also, what I think Venezuela is picking India right now to establish the credibility of the Petro. So they'll take this haircut on the sale, knowing that it will encourage other countries and entities to use Petro if India takes it. Now, Jimmy, crypto is starting to be used internationally in more ways than people ever imagined, and also by corporations like our next story, which is very interesting. And I see this as another specific example of how countries can use crypto, which again, regarding Venezuela, which again increases the adoption of the whole space though. But just turning back to India, do you think India is going to take this deal? And if not India, who do you think will?
Oh, I have no idea whether or not they'll take the deal, but I can totally see why they're doing it. Basically, they want people to utilize it and make the price of the petrol go up. I've said this before. The technology that Bitcoin brought into the world was something that could be used for good or for evil. And for central banks, this is a wet dream, right? Like they get to track every transaction. They can print money on command. They can, basically deny transactions and get to peer into what everyone is doing. And that's more or less how I expect Venezuela to be using the Petro. Who knows how much of it they printed or what the blockchain looks like, or if it's even like, like how they funded it, or where the money that was paid for the Petro actually went, and all that stuff. Nobody knows any of that information, and they're probably not ever going to get it. But by sort of incentivizing people to use it, they're hoping that the value of the Petro that they have goes up. It's more or less like a government level Ponzi scheme slash ICO or something like that. They're giving India like a pre-sale discount on their ICO or something. That's more or less what they're doing here. Whether or not somebody takes it or not, I don't know. Depends on how good a marketer they are, I think. Maybe they could get some people to pay for it. I don't know. But yeah, that's what it seems like to me.
Right. And just to know, Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves, right, of 300 billion barrels. And India is the world's third largest oil importer. And just the biggest actually losers of the higher oil prices in these recent months. As just really quick economics, the increased price of oil widens its trade deficit, more upward pressure on inflation, threatens to exceed government targets, risks, and elections are coming up. So, getting political, Giacomo, right? India has traditionally in the past not gotten involved in sanctions regime. They say they, never regarding the United States, won't side with Russia or USA, although the United States will smash them with sanctions for violating this regime. But as we very well know, exchanges are all over the world, and I don't see how the United States or Trump would be able to follow this. Just what are your thoughts on the fact that this is very enticing? Again, I'm picking up from Jimmy in a different way for governments like this. I mean, will they take it? What are your thoughts? What do you think is going on?
So in a way, I think that is generally true what you are saying, that Bitcoin can actually affect the trade wars and protectionism in very serious ways. And while Bitcoin is a threat for government money manipulation and inflation taxes and money governance, Bitcoin, on the other hand, could be for some states also some kind of safe way to overcome trade barriers or protectionism or fees or anything like that. So crypto, meaning serious crypto, meaning Bitcoin, in the future could become interesting for reshaping this trade wars scenario, for sure. In this case, I mean, there are a lot of exchanges around the world, but when there is again, I'm sorry, we are a bit repetitive, but this is just common sense. When you have a centralized currency, there is not much that can change. Like you say that there is an interesting discount of 30% But the only way that India could acquire Petro token, buying them from Venezuela, basically, either through ICO or centralized mining operation. Anyway, bearing some RAG mining operations, the only way India would acquire a significant amount of Petro would be buying from Venezuela. So Venezuela can set the price of Petro, and then India will pay with dollars the Petro, and then they will get the oil in exchange of for the Petro. So they will get a lot of hype and news that will possibly increase the apparent legitimacy of this scam coin. And the underlying economic deal would be basically neutral or even pejorative, even because this kind of, the use they are doing of cryptocurrencies here is just obfuscation. When something will be clearly stupid or disadvantageous, you just put a lot of technological obfuscation on it, and your counterparty and the general public is not able anymore to really find the catches. So that this is what they're saying. Venezuela is one of the larger oil owning countries, but it's also one of the larger hyperinflation practitioners around the world. So basically right now the minimum wage of a Venezuelan guy was put to 1 million bolivars. So like they are in full continuous hyperinflation. So only a madman would think that the government that destroyed its own currency that way could be somehow good into managing a centralized cryptocurrency. This is just technological buzzwords in order to obfuscate obvious economical scams. That said, I have some kind of sensibility to aesthetics of scams. So when there is some kind of low-level scam, like, I don't know, R3 or Ethereum or Ripple, I am kind of pissed off. But when you go to the BitConnect or Petro level, it's so funny that I get more tolerant, because it's so extreme that I cannot imagine a normal person falling from it, and I start enjoying the funny part of it.
I agree with that.
Well, then I'll push it to you, Tone. So just regarding CoinSecure, so they are saying that they're going to offer this white labeled exchange solution for Venezuela. All traders have to go through their exchange. I mean, they're gonna.
Is this the same CoinSecure that got hacked for like $500 million worth of NAM, something that should never have been under exchange to begin with?
The one with the insecure in the name, as Jim said.
All right. Well, quick comments on this.
I think that was CoinCheck.
I don't know. I remember making the insecure joke though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Look. I don't know. Like, I've explained it on this show so many times, and people just don't see it. A hyperinflation is not a currency event. Hyperinflation is a political event. The population of your country and the rest of the world loses faith in the government of your country, and your currency becomes worthless because no one has confidence in your currency. Because your currency is worthless, the government has resorted to printing the currency because they don't want to give up their power, and they don't want to use a more confident currency of, say, another country. So it doesn't matter what, there's a couple of things going on. So first of all, this does not mean that India gets to save 30%. If India actually has to go out and convert fiat dollars into something, maybe Ethereum, maybe Bitcoin, and then convert that into Petro to send the Petro, they could end up losing 30% instead of making 30% on all of these stupid currency conversions. That's one thing. Second, if Venezuela wanted to sell their oil at a 30% discount, why can't they just accept dollars? Why can't they accept Bitcoin, right? I mean, guys, the Petro is irrelevant. The Petro is just another way for the government of Venezuela to print their own money, because nothing in that Petro mandates that they have to have X amount of Petro that is, created with an algorithm through mining. There is no mining. There's nothing there. It's another government currency. There's nothing there. Like, how is it backed by oil. Like what? I mean, have I missed something? Like what mechanism forces your currency to be backed by anything, right? People are living in a fantasy. So these are just buzzwords. They're just buzzwords. This is just the government of Venezuela trying to prevent the revolution yet another week. And we'll see how long they can keep it going. They can keep it going for 70 years. Russia did as a communist system. So who the hell knows? And but there's nothing crypto about this. It's nothing crypto. Venezuela just made up another currency, and they're just trying to get anybody to pay them in it, and they don't even have to pay them in it, right? Anyway, it's just
it's a state level ICO scam.
Right. But I agree with Giacomo. It's like these aren't the kinds of things that bother me. It's the Ethereum and the Ripples that bother me, because they can create systematic risk around the world when enough stupid people built important shit on top of them. No one is gonna build,
wait, who's built anything important on any of those?
No one yet.
But I agree, Jimmy. I agree with Tone. I mean, who would ever build something important around JavaScript? And still, it did happen. So,
oh, God.
Yeah, I had to update mine today. I still have no idea what it does because I still use a Windows machine. Look, wait,
what does Windows have to do with JavaScript? Sorry,
I don't know. I don't know why it keeps making me update.
Okay.
Anyway, no, never mind. But anyway, look, no one is going to be out there, no significant company is going to be out there saying we are looking, in integrating the Petro, but they're saying that about stupid Ethereum and stupid Ripple, right? So I think those have way more risk in the global ecosystem than the Petro does.
All right, I'm gonna disagree there, because I really don't think it's possible to build anything that great on any of these platforms. So unlike JavaScript, which is actually functional despite its horrible syntax, a lot of these things aren't functional, can't scale, are really, really slow databases, more or less. So
right, but know this, but like every other article we cover seems to have missed those facts, right? But everyone knows.
What if you're a programmer and you start programming, you're going to realize this real quick. So I don't know. Like reality has a way of slapping you into submission. So there's a reality here, which is that these aren't really platforms for anything important. And if it was, then I'd be pretty scared. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I couldn't agree more on your points, especially regarding GDP. Just what's happening in the economic situation in Venezuela. And you are absolutely right. Specifically right with the World Bank. What happens is that not saying that the World Bank's tactics are good at all, but just specifically when they give out a loan to a country, it actually becomes and negates about zero. They actually don't have to pay it back due to hyperinflation. It inflates away the debt. So that's why a lot of the times hyperinflation is actually pushed in countries and not the 2% that we do, which is inflation in the United States. So again, right, the government controls the basic price of basic goods. And in Venezuela specifically, this has led to their black market actually having strong influence on prices. So just one last point to yours, Tone, right? Which means that, absolutely Venezuelans would love dollars over bolivars. So it's definitely an interesting that we'll follow. All right.
And they'll love dollars over the petrol.
Of course. Of course. All right. This is interesting, fun one to potentially end on. So Oscar Mayer unveils the Bacoin, new cryptocurrency campaign for bacon. I don't know who has watched this YouTube video yet, but I think that everybody should, for a laugh, that is.
But is this real?
It's real. To my understanding.
I like bacon. I don't know if I like this coin, though.
Well, is it an ERC20 on Ethereum? Like, I don't know what this means, right? Obviously, it's not a proof of work coin.
Jimmy, do you want to respond to the fact that you're paid in bacon?
Let me. I haven't really looked at this. I thought it was a joke. Uh, so
It's actually
apparently,
it's real. Unless I'm just totally wrong.
that is an awesome logo. It's like putting together like the Bitcoin symbol with bacon. I can't think of a better combination. And Leah, you really need to be using an ad blocker. What's up with that? How are you not using an ad blocker?
I have one up here, but yes.
You don't turn it on? Okay. Well,
Not
and you
with
should be
Forbes.
using
Right,
ublock.abp.
no, but the thing is,
Forbes screws you on it.
you can't get on like real websites with an ad blocker. Like Forbes won't let you pull up an article if you have an ad blocker on.
As a Forbes contributor, I will say they'll always get their ads in there, but yes, Jimmy, let's.
All right. So bacon is worth 27 slices of bacon.
Yes.
That's all. I need to get some of this. This might be the first altcoin that's actually useful. If this conversion can actually happen, I will buy some Bacoin if I could actually get some bacon for it. Yeah, this might be the first one I actually want to use. And way better than I don't know, like dentist on the blockchain or what, I don't know, World Computer or some bank rails or whatever the hell these other things are. This is this makes way more sense than any of those things. I'll tell you that much.
Now, Giacomo, I'm sorry, it's not prosciutto. We do have some ham here. Bacoin is poised to deliciously revolutionize the cryptocurrency market. What do you think about what's going on here?
I will also try to seriously praise this initiative. I mean, if this token gets to the parity of the 3 slices of Bacoin price on the market, then it's something similar to, let's say, Tether. Like, in Tether, you give $1, you get 1 Tether, and Tether stays very close to the price of dollar for a while. You can use it at a disinvestment from Bitcoin for a while, and then maybe you will get your dollar back in case nobody's asking together for the dollar and there is not a bank run. So maybe in the crypto over crypto exchanges, we will see Bitcoin exchanges with Bacon directly in order to go around fiat blockades. So this could really revolutionize everything.
Yeah, I hope there's no conspiracy though about like whether or not they have the proper reserve of bacon, because that would be, and we don't want to have a show with like Bacoin and Flipper and all that stuff. Supporting they do have bacon. So I mean, you can't make this stuff up, but we really need to make a parody video of some of the stuff that we've been doing.
Oh my gosh. Well, Tone, away from the Bacoin morning brief, potentially one day, to finance, away from bacon. Yes. So this is something very specific with Oscar Mayer, where they're very interestingly, it's hilarious, but what they're actually going to do, right, is that they have their own way of paying for stuff, bacon, with their own crypto. But this is really different from the Long Island blockchain and also the KFC Bitcoin bucket, which I believe is mentioned in the bottom of this article. So
that one seemed normal. They were just accepting Bitcoin as a payment. They weren't printing their own money at KFC.
Yes, right. So
I really hate for my generation to be a bigger laughing stock than the tulip bubble, and I really feel that this is what's going to happen.
We're already the laughing stock, man. I mean, have you heard about do you know the reputation of millennials already?
Hey,
it's really bad. I mean, and again, if this is an ERC20 token, I mean, this is what I mean, Jimmy. Like there's just the stupid built on top of Ethereum just has no bounds.
No, wait, no, I'm telling you, this is actually less stupid than a lot of other projects that are actually on Ethereum. But yeah, anyway, regardless, I like bacon, so I am really looking forward to seeing how this works.
Well, and then maybe the turkey Bacoin will come out and
no, that would be like the Bitcoin Cash of Bacoin. We should call it the Bacoin Cash. Turkey bacon is not bacon, okay? All right? I'm very passionate about this.
Yeah, no.
Do not call turkey bacon bacon.
My freezer is full of bacon. Not Oscar Mayer bacon. I'm like 8 levels above that in quality. But,
Yes, you need the hickory smoked, uncured, bacon that's thick cut, and those are so.
I don't
good.
even cook. I don't even cook mine. I just defreeze it and eat it.
Jimmy,
let's eat it raw.
Well, it's not raw.
All right, but Giacomo, you were saying something? Yeah.
Jimmy, let's promise that you will sue Leah if she tries to sell on bacon.com.
Yeah. So if she takes Bacoin.com, I don't know, Leah. We might not be friends anymore.
Oh my God. Well, that's a perfect lead in to our last story here. And actually, I was going to pull up the tweet, but I think I just lost it for a second. Very simply put, Charlie Lee was against.
Oh, yeah, right there. The last one on the page.
That one.
Yeah.
I retract that one. Perfect.
Nice. Oop, here we go. Right. Okay. So wrong for people to claim that Bcash is Bitcoin, or that for Roger Vera and Bitcoin.com to mislead users. But I don't think that anything's illegal. So this suit is stupid. But then he came back and said that the upside is that it's already done some good. So it went back to listing Bcash as Bitcoin Cash. Gentlemen?
Yeah, it's good. So it's they're feeling the heat over there already, and like the lawyer hasn't even been public. Like the law firm hasn't even been announced yet or anything. So it's yeah, we're gonna keep following the story. We're gonna try to give you a minor update on what's going on with class action lawsuit against Bitcoin.com, not against Bitcoin Cash or Bcash or Btrash, but against Bitcoin.com itself for misleading people. And there was another one. Where was it?
Leah, why don't you go to like Bitcoin.com? I actually want to see what this is talking about.
And we do need a good name for this type of news following.
All right, let's go down. Okay. So it says Bitcoin Cash over there, and it says what happened to Bitcoin. Yep.
But it's buy Bitcoin. It's still buy Bitcoin up to the.
Yeah, you got to go to their Explorer. It was in their Explorer.
Well, no, it said Bitcoin Cash, I think, where it used to say Bitcoin. So there's definitely.
But right now it was.
Buy Bitcoin Core.
Great. Okay, well, we'll follow this one. Jimmy, throwing up the weather report.
All right, let's see what's going on. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know what happened in the last couple of weeks, but people started putting in these transactions at 50 Satoshi per byte or so, and they continue to be there, but they get cleared even at like 1 Satoshi per byte. I got in several yesterday, so I mean, what can I say? Like, you're paying too much. I don't know if it's probably some exchange whose algorithm is off slightly. But what can you do about those people? They're just sort of throwing money down the drain at this point. We'll see. But yeah, if you need it next block, 20 will probably do it. But if you can wait a few hours, one should be fine.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jimmy. And Tone, what's going on with prices today?
Hey guys, so before I get to prices, so this was the fun image that I saw. It's like people complaining about the Bitcoin.com wallet and how they're being misled into buying Bcash and stuff like that. So that's great. So yeah, go ahead and do that. Like if you've been misled by Bitcoin.com wallet, just give it a 1 star and put in your comment as to how. Go for it. So I was in another documentary, Bitcoin Beyond the Bubble, full documentary. I'll tweet this out later today. So that was cool. I finally watched it this morning. Sorry guys, I've been busy. It was pretty good. It was a nice short 35-minute documentary. It was awesome. Let's talk about the price. So this week isn't starting off very hot. We need to see how the week ends. Again, these are weekly candles, guys. These are long trends. Ever since this bounce that I did not, I mean, you could have anticipated it based on the 50-week moving average. That was the only true point of support. And it looked like we pierced it on 3 different occasions, but it held. A lot of people think that, multiple touches of a support area is bullish. Not for me, it's not. And for me, this was very bearish. And this situation of piercing the 50-week moving average on 3 different occasions and holding it actually makes this 50-week moving average weaker than it otherwise would have had it bounced off really, really strong. I want to see, I guess it more happens on the daily chart than the weekly chart. And just zoom this out. Like, again, I'm not feeling all of this bullishness, and I don't understand where exactly it's coming from. Sure, it looks good, but we are still way above. I mean, this bull run was massive, and I don't understand why people think that we can't correct some more. So I remain generally bearish. Somewhat neutral, but more bearish than neutral in this environment. And I will wait for a clean pullback. What is my best case scenario for the bulls is a drop back down to 76, 7,500, and then a swift rebound back to 10,000 and beyond. That is my best outlook for the bulls. And I understand that everyone keeps talking about how there are all of these OTC people that are looking to buy hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. You know what? I don't care. That it doesn't matter, clearly, right? They've been talking about that for a while, and you don't know what that coin's going to be used for. You don't know if that coin's going to be used in exchanges to potentially drive down the price. You have no idea. So that doesn't mean anything to me. All I look at is the price action, and the price action isn't very hot. If this current weekly candle starts, closing below 8,700, it can once again get pretty ugly. Here's the daily chart. So according to this indicator, and all we have is the indicator. So this was a bearish look. This is where a red 2 started trading below a red 1 that did not hold as a red 2 on the candle. So 2 options here: hold your bearish trade and have your stop loss above the highs, or as the indicator suggests, anytime there is a price flip, you go to cash. So either one could have been done. Then we had another price flip, and then we had another red 2 at some point trade below a red 1. So I can even take this, move it over. Again, another entry into a potential short trade based on these charts. Nowhere here was there a clean entry into a bullish trade, right? Because you get a green number trading above a green number. Where's your stop loss in this occasion? Well, unfortunately, your stop loss was still up here. However, now that we made a slightly lower high, this is why the blue line was here, because your stop line could have been moved down. Once again, on a price flip, you can decide to exit this trade. And once again, we have a red number trading below a red number. This is what real trading is, guys. This isn't a buy and hold strategy. This is a trading strategy, right? And if you, the overall environment to me is more bearish than bullish. So I would rather time my short trades than my long trades. And if 3 short trades in a row failed and you take small losses, that's fine. Because if this gets me to a red 9, I will make up for all of those little losses and make triple the money on top of that in the short trade. Now, the amount of leverage that you use is up to you. The execution is up to you. But right now, according to this indicator, here's what you got. You have another potential entry into a short trade with a red 2 trading below a red 1. Your stop loss is this blue line. Okay, is it going to be another one of these, trades that hits the stop loss and loses your money? Very possible, right? That's what trading is all about. You take the probabilistic trade, even in poker or in blackjack. You can you can have an 11 against a 6, 3 hands in a row, and lose all 3 of them. right? I mean, that's what it is. But you're playing the probabilistic hand. Same thing here. And for me, a lot of things start to accelerate to the downside upon the cross of, I'm going to draw a nice thick line. I'm going to draw, like I say in my workshops, your line should be as thick as reasonable before somebody laughs at it. And there it is. That's pretty much my best fit line. And below this line, the drop should accelerate. And I am looking for this drop to, go over to the 50-day moving average, which will probably be a tad higher. Okay. And then we'll see what happens from there. Okay. Shorter term time frame. Again, you are reaching this level here, this $8,900 level, which you don't want to be at. Looks like this is the 720. So this is the 12-hour chart. The 12-hour gave you an aggressive 13 and a sequential 13. Now there is another hidden 13 coming in from this unperfected 9, which did go perfected a couple of candles later. And same line here. So going below this line, make it a little thinner. Going below this line is borderline troublesome because it can accelerate your drop to the downside. And where is there potential support? Well, you have 2 points of support, right? You have the 50-period moving average and the setup trend line. And they're now a little bit further out. So I'm going to guess I'll go right there in the middle. Okay. So that's what I'm looking for from the 7-hour chart. The 4-hour chart, again, same thing. If you were timing your trades, again, here is a top. You had a couple of 13s, a bunch of them, plus one more, plus a 9. 8 called you the high. And then you had a reversal right here off of a 9 that didn't hold. And we're kind of in trending water here. But hey, once again, you have a red number below a red number. You're under the 50-period moving average, and things are not looking too hot right now. So the 4-hour chart is also not looking all that great. Do I have anything else? Oh yeah, this is a bit of a busy chart because we were plotting a bunch of stuff on it during our video the other day. And yeah, the shorts are starting to pile up a little bit. There was a lot of longs here, and but now it looks like shorts are coming back in. That's about it. I still have all the other charts from our video with Nick, and glancing at traditional markets. Gold is still struggling to get back over 1400 or 1385, 1380. And I need that. I need gold to go above 1380 before I consider any bullish trades. And the stock market is still struggling a bit. I would like to see this breakout. I don't want to see a death cross on the daily S&P chart. I'm hoping that we could, get out of that situation. We have not had a death cross on the S&P chart in a while. It wasn't great here. I mean, it did bounce out of it fairly quickly. But yeah, so again, the S&P is no longer looking very hot. If it gets back below the 200-day moving average again, a death cross is coming. We could have a nice bear market in the stock market. All right, that's pretty much it for me. Don't really have anything else.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. It's May 1st. Jimmy, do you want to tell everybody about any of your upcoming seminars?
Yeah, so I have a seminar in New York later this month. I have a seminar in Toronto even later this month. Then I have a seminar in Sao Paulo next month. And then I have a seminar in Denver the month after that. Still doing hard forks for people, especially Bitcoin private. If you want to get rid of it, let me know.
Crazy travel. Giacomo, what about you?
I will be home for a while, and I will take care of the baby. But starting from I guess the next conference in the beginning of July, I will be a speaker in Lisbon with the Building on Bitcoin conference. There is a plethora of other conferences I would go to troll in with my presence. So see you around.
Fantastic. And Tone, you're in New York for a little bit, but then I think off.
I am. I have a special guest coming later tonight that I will be entertaining for the rest of the week. So you guys stay tuned and it'll be fun.
Fantastic. Jimmy?
This song is done.
Giacomo.
Bye, everybody.
Love it. And Tone.
Bye, guys. Good luck trading.
Bye, everybody.